Hey, everybody. Today is Saturday, July 11, 2026. Whoa, it's been quite a week. I had to make a real quick trip out to Deadwood for some meetings. As I was telling somebody at the lodge where we were staying as I was checking out, I love to be on either end of that trip, the middle, not so much. Now, that's not a hack on South Dakota because I'd rather drive border to border in South Dakota on I 90 than a whole lot of other states, especially when it comes to I 80 in western Nebraska. It's just not my favorite drive. But boy, that gets long. Holy cow, that gets long. And I mean, the conditions are really pretty good right now, but that's a long old drive, and I'm glad I don't have to do it a whole lot. And I've started flat out refusing to do it about 5 months of the year or more because it seems like every time I do it, sometime between say late September and I don't know April, there's going to be a blizzard or an ice storm, and I'm going to have to drive through the likes of Lyman and Jones County at about 4 miles an hour in an effort to get home. It sucks and just it's not fun. Anyway, been a long week and we've had a lot of fun today, and I want to talk about what we've been doing today. Today's Saturday, of course, and that means Falls Park Farmers Market go every Saturday that I'm here. The only time I missed it, I'm proud to say, this year so far, I was in Ireland. And if you can't be at the farmers market, that's a pretty good second. Uh, and things are popping downtown. Things are starting to get there. We are starting to lean into that part of the season where things are really growing. Our garden plot over there in the community garden between Prince of Peace and Holy Spirit Catholic Parish is really coming along. This is a year of reminding ourselves how to do this because gardening the premises of it aren't hard. Put stuff in the dirt, water it, take care of it, tend to it, and it'll grow. The details get a little sketchy in between because it turns out that we may have planted some of the tomatoes a little close together. It looks like a jungle in there, literally. And then the row crops, which consist of some beets and some carrots, are not looking nearly as good. I think we're going to have to put some more beets in. The God knows what they are hot peppers that I purchased are coming along fine. So anyway, inventory at the farmers market is going up because things love this hot, humid weather we have out here when it comes in terms of growing. If you want a homegrown tomato, and like Guy Clark says, there's only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and a homegrown tomato. Uh, you This weather is what you need. It makes those things pop, and we're getting fruit on our vines. It's going to start ripening up, and I hope to have tomatoes up the yin yang this summer. My normal sources of people who will grow them to great abundance and have some that they have to give away, and I'm a willing taker awayer for most things. Forget those big ass zucchini; you can keep those. But if you have tomatoes you want to get rid of, I will take them because those go into the salsas, those go into the sauces. They get canned for chili and all sorts of things. So you're actually starting to see a few tomatoes. This morning was the first time I saw cucumbers, which was good because I tend to wake up a little too early, and I was laying in bed thinking about how nice it would be to make some of those real simple, put them in the refrigerator, spicy dill pickles. And today, Mad Dog ship came in because the kind kids at Carper Sweet Corn from Rutland have some had some nice cucumbers, the really little bubbers, and then the ones that were about like this, maybe 3 4 inches high. Those are perfect. I probably should have bought those, but I just can't pass up those little gherkins. And I bought they were $4 a pound. I hadn't even $10. That's what, 2.5 pounds, something like that. And yeah, I bought those because I was laying in bed thinking about them, and I wanted to make some. So I did, and there they were. So how do you do that? Well, you bring them home and you wash them, and then you grab yourself a recipe off the interwebs. I just go find one. I mean, really, it's all the same because doing this is easy. We're not going to process these. We're going to talk about processing here at the end, but you don't process these. You just need to get them clean. You need to prep them a little bit. You need to stuff them into jars, and you need to make a brine. And the brine is really pretty simple. It's 2 to 1 2 parts water to 1 part vinegar. You need a vinegar that's 5% acidity, and most of the ones you will buy at the store are. If you're buying some funky ass vinegar that you got somewhere and you're not sure, don't use it. Most of the commercially produced vinegar, whether it's apple cider vinegar or white distilled vinegar, is is about 5% acidity. All that really is some kind of alcohol spirit. I hate to tell you, if you're drinking vinegar on your sobriety program, you might want to rethink that, because there is a little alcohol in vinegar. Just read the damn label. But the you're basically turning what used to be spirits into acetic acid. I used to know the formula for that. It's like CHOO3CH or something. I used to remember it because it looks like chooch when I was in chemistry class in high school. But anyway, that's what you're going to do. And you're going to use a little salt. You're going to use a little sugar. Sugar is important because it boosts up the acidity, and the acidity is what makes this work and keeps things safe. Just like sugar creates acid that'll wear the enamel straight off your teeth, like when you were walking around with candy in your mouth for the entire 70s. That's why you have cavities, because that stuff turns into acid and bores holes in your teeth. Does a lot of other things to you, as it turns out. Who knew? Certainly nobody in the 70s. But get some spices in there. I use just a ton of red pepper flakes, some pepper. I like to throw in a couple of pinches of pickling spice. I like the Penzeys blend, but there are plenty of other good ones out there. Go see Tammy and the crew down at the Spice and Tea Exchange downtown, and they've probably got some nice pickling spice. It's kind of a blend of crunched up bay leaves and maybe some star anise and some cloves and some allspice. And you smell it, and you're going to recognize that smell right away. And I like to put a little of that in there. You're also going to want to pick up some fresh dill while you're at the farmer's market. Unfortunately, the stuff is priced roughly like raw cocaine. You're going to spend $5 for what amounts to probably a nickel's worth of dill if you grew the damn stuff. And if you ever grow it, you're going to be growing it for the next 10 years, because it just keeps coming back and back and back, because it goes to seed. And you're going to have volunteer dill whether you want it or not. And you're going to need some. And you just trim the heads off of that and you shove it into the jars. You're also going to want some bay leaves, and now I'm going to let you in on a couple of Mad Dog top secret things for making your pickles good. One of the things everybody likes is they like a crisp pickle, and that doesn't happen by accident. Look, you can buy that lime stuff in the store and soak them in there, and that probably works. It seems like a major pain in the ass. But what you really need in there is you need something tannic, and tannins are that lip smackety flavor that almost makes your mouth dry when you're drinking things like really strong iced tea, and you kind of feel like you can drag your tongue across the roof of your mouth. Same thing if you're drinking like a really full-bodied Cabernet Sauvignon, a really, really beefy cab, very tannic. That's that, like I said, you know what I'm talking about if you've ever had it. Well, those tannins are important because that's what'll crisp your stuff up. Now, you're not going to pour a bottle of Camus or even cheap-ass Cab into your pickles, and the vinegar's not going to do it. So what is? Well, there's a couple things you can use. Handfuls of bay leaves will work, but you're going to get a lot of the flavor with them. My favorite secret weapon, and you don't even need fresh ones, is grape leaves. Go to the store and get yourself a jar of grape leaves. You're going to have to look around for them. They're probably in like the Mediterranean food section. I found them at, God forbid, Hy-Vee, believe it or not. I can't remember where I was looking, but it must have been along wherever they put their ethnic foods. And probably with the Mediterranean stuff, because these are the things, the dolmades, the wrapped up grape leaves around like rice and stuff, really super tasty, by the way, but just the leaves contain a lot of tannins. And, shove a few of those in there as you're stuffing your jars with your cukes. Wash the cukes real good. You stuff them into jars. I like to slice up some hot pepper, a little onion, get some garlic cloves in there. Just get your garlic peeled. You can give it a little slicey slice, whatever. If you want to dice your onions, go ahead. I got some nice ones at the farmer's market this morning and just kind of cut them into wedges and shoved them in there. They'll pickle too, and they're just delicious. Then you make that brine. Make sure you judge enough. and you'll get it. And then you just need a nice jar with a lid. You're gonna stuff it all full of all those ingredients: the grape leaves and some dill and some more hot peppers and whatever else you really kind of want to put in there. And by the way, you don't necessarily even have to use all cukes. If you want to slice, if you want to, wedge up some beets, they work. If you want to, turnips. I had a little brine left over, so I went ahead and grabbed a pint jar and shoved it full of radishes that I'd cut in half and used the rest of the brine for that. You know what that's going to be? Good. So anyway, these are going to be fine. But I'm really excited because it got me thinking, and I've been thinking a lot about canning, because it's time to grab your balls because it's almost time to start canning. This is a half-gallon mason jar. It's a big sucker. This holds eight pints. That is to say 2 quarts. That is to say a half gallon, 64 ounces. You cannot can in these. You can't process these. Look, I know you've seen it, and I'm going to tell you a story about why I have these, because I'm really glad to have these. I spent years without half-gallon jars, and I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I needed these. I just didn't realize how bad. So the deal with it is and I'll get to the processing part, but the first time I saw a half-gallon jar IRL in real life, I was a member of the South Dakota Board of Bar Commissioners, basically the board of the directors behind the South Dakota Bar. And this was it was before I was in the legislature, because I don't think the two overlapped, as I remember. So probably 1999, 2000 or so, we lived out west, and the bar president was Jeff Sven, a heck of a good guy from Aberdeen in the Siegel Barnett firm. I'm sure if you're in the South Dakota hockey world, you've heard of Jeff. Jeff's just a great guy and a great lawyer. And Jeff's claim to fame as a lawyer is he's basically general counsel to probably at one point all, and then as things kind of broke apart, maybe in the high 90 percentile range of all of the Hutterite colonies in the Hutterian Brotherhood in the state of South Dakota. So Jeff was basically general counsel for the Hutterites, and they loved him, and he had a plane. He flew around and did a lot of work. So Jeff being Jeff, somehow he talked us into having the bar convention in Aberdeen. That will never friggin' happen again. So, and it hasn't since, by the way. But he wanted to have a bar commission meeting up there, so we made arrangements to get up there. I'm not going to tell you how, because it'll piss a bunch of people off, and maybe I should tell you anyway. But we flew up charter. Okay, a plane came out of Sioux Falls to go to Aberdeen, and a plane came out of Rapid City, and I jumped on the Rapid City plane. That was great, by the way. Fun. If you haven't seen the confluence of the Cheyenne River and the Missouri north of Pierre, wow, you're missing out. You got to see that from the air. It's totally amazing. And so anyway, one of the highlights of the trip is Jeff, of course, arranged for us to go out to a Hutterite colony. And the thing, and look, if you grew up in South Dakota, you drove by those things all the time. Maybe you stopped in and got some meat, saw the ubiquitous character that I refer to as Uncle Reuben, who would come out and sell you some yicken feet, or maybe some yickens, or some yerkies, or some jerky, or some eggs, or whatever. And, you get some really great stuff out there. And we got to tour through the gardens and the grounds and go out and see the hog farrowing. Wow, is that crazy? The turkey barns, and, it was a great trip. That and they fed us like we just custom harvested, a couple sections, and that goes with it. But walking through there, and you get to walk through the gardens, and the amount of stuff grown out there is just on an industrial scale. Everybody on the colony has some kind of job, whether you're the hog guy, whether you're the garden people, whether you're cooking or cleaning or doing whatever. Everybody has a job. And I got news for you, kids. This is basically communism in its purest form. Nobody really owns anything except for maybe the clothes on your back, and everybody works together for the greater good, and that's the way people want to live, and that's the way it works out. But walking through where the food had been put up, because obviously this stuff comes out of the garden, and these folks are largely self-sufficient when it comes to food. They grow a lot, they produce a lot, and they process a lot so that they've got it. And And by God, on the shelf, I saw half-gallon jars full of the most gorgeous watermelon pickles. The ones that are made in, and this is a source of great debate. What actually is a watermelon pickle? You know, is it the rinds? Is it kind of sweet? Is it dilly? Is it spicy? Well, the truth of the matter is, it's anything you want. But they had basically almost like little wedges of the whole watermelon, just filling one of these things, and they were sitting on the shelves, and they were absolutely gorgeous. And I was thinking, Jesus, those are half-gallon jars. How do you do that? And I thought, man, I got to get some of those. I just need something big enough to boil them in. I mean, why wouldn't I do that? Go big or go home. So that was on my mind for roughly, I don't know, 24, 25 years. And then I started seeing these things for sale. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe we should get some of those half-gallon jars and make a big-ass jar of watermelon pickles. So anyway, thank God that didn't happen yet. We'll get to the jars. But I did a little studying on this, and when you do canning and preserving, it's extremely important that you hew religiously to the food safety guidelines. I am religious about damn near nothing, including religion. But when it comes to food safety, especially when it comes to putting things in jars and sealing them up, I am as orthodox as you get. I am going to follow that stuff chapter and verse, and we are not going to vary. Do not color outside those lines. Bad things can happen. Do what the book says. And when I'm talking about the book, I'm talking about the Bell Blue Book. Get it. That's what you need. Just do what it says. And one of the things it says not to do is to can in a half-gallon jar. Why? Because the United States Department of Agriculture, that is the USDA, and believe it or not, federal agencies on occasion do something useful. At least they used to. I hope the people who do this stuff are still employed. But they tell you things like not to process in half-gallon jars. Look, I know you can buy this stuff in the store, and things that are sealed up in half-gallon jars, not half-gallon mason jars, but well, the reason is they're able to do that on a commercial scale, and they're using totally different equipment. If you're at home, even if you've got a pot big enough to put that in, it's near impossible to process that long enough, either under steam pressure, that is, or a water bath canner, where you're going to adequately process that stuff all the way through. Canning is really pretty simple science, folks. I mean, the point of it is that you got it sealed up, and it's not to make that jar lid stick. It's not to make that gummy stuff, this stuff right here, get sticky and stick so that it's like glued on. You're not trying to glue that on. If you want to glue it on, just get some friggin' glue and glue it on. But it's not necessarily the stick that does it. Does it stick? Does it get soft and stick? Yes. But what it really does is it forms a vacuum. When you talk about hermetically sealed things, that's what we're talking about. And the reason for that is that it's boiling, and the contents of that jar are coming up to a temperature that's going to kill the bacteria in the jar, all of it. And to do that, the temperature has to get consistent through the jar and into what's in the center of that jar. That's why the consistency of your food is important. That's why the cut of your food is important. And that's why the kind of food you put in the jar is important, because you've got to get that temperature all the way through it for an adequate period of time. How do you do that? Easy. You get the water boiling, hard boil, and then you process this stuff for the amount of time it says in the Blue Book. Account for a little bit of altitude. You can use these things these days to figure out what your altitude is, believe it or not. But just follow the damn directions and you'll get it done, and it'll be safe. But you can't do that in a half-gallon jar, because you just can't do it at home. You're not going to get it fully processed. It'll look nice, but you might get botulism. I'm assuming that the turnover is fast enough at the colonies that they don't worry about it. Hell, they don't vaccinate their kids. I'm pretty sure they're not worried about what's in the jar. And when it comes down to it, the HBDA, that is the Hutterian Brotherhood Department of Agriculture, decides, use them. So they do. Anyway, don't can in these. But what they are really good for is shoving full of those refrigerator pickles, because you got this neat, tidy container. And man, oh man, are those really good. These are also really good for fermenting stuff in them. we'll get to that sometime. That's an interesting science too. But yeah, this is really fun, and I've got a whole thing of pickles going in there, and they're going to be just delicious. So yeah, get those out. Get those out. Yeah, so you're going to get those out, and you're going to have a great old time. Anyway, folks, that's what we've got today. I've got to go out and grill some eggplant that I've got going. It turns out that, yeah, where was I going with this? It turns out I do a lot better at the farmer's market when I buy things that I know I'm going to take home right away and process and cook. And I sliced some eggplant, and it's draining under a little bit of salt right now. I'm going to take it out and grill it and brown it, and that's going to be some really good eggplant parmesan later. So that's what's going on around here. About time to do the dishes, shower up, get ready to go hang out with some of the cool kids. And Debbie and I are going to go hang out with some friends tonight. Haven't seen a few people for a while, and it's about time we bite it and go be social just a little bit, so that's fine. Anyway, everybody have a great Saturday. Let's play a train song. Stay safe out there. Stay cool. Going to be hot. Keep hydrated. All right, everybody. Have a great one. Bye-bye.